Hi and welcome to Danklord vs. Games. My name is Kevin and today we'll be taking a look at Observer, a psychological horror made by Blooper Team, previously known for their horror title Layers of Fear. The game is set in Kraków, Poland, and the year is 2084. The citizens have gone through a sort of digital plague called a nanophage that killed thousands upon thousands of people connected to augmented reality. Death led to war, and war known as the Great Decimation ultimately left one megacorporation in charge of the entire population. You are Dan Lazarski, a neural detective with the authority to tap into neural implants of unlawful citizens. You start off by getting a phone call from your son Adam, and you're set off to find what had happened to him after your call gets interrupted. You're sent off to a slum area that almost makes the shittiest known locations you know look kind of decent, and as you enter the apartment complex of Adam's last known location, your story begins to unravel quite immediately. As I just mentioned, you're set on a very simple task that slowly but surely branches out into different objectives. Finding your son Adam was not as easy as you had hoped, and you need to investigate and navigate your way around tight corridors and hallways in order to get the answers you are looking for. There are no complicated gameplay mechanics to wrap your head around. There are ways for you to scan the environment for clues and objects in order to get some further information, and that's honestly about it. It's a game very similar to a game I previously reviewed, Get Even, where linear gameplay and incredible story is your main course and everything else dessert. Despite being oddly similar to each other, let's not assume that they're both the same. There are no guns, and instead of delivering the story through notes and tape recorders, Observer delivers the story directly to you and only keeps the side story somewhat tucked away in computer notes and emails. But it's tucked away for a good reason. It's not necessarily groundbreaking information, and you can't really do anything with the knowledge you've gathered unless it's specific information for an objective. An example I have is the landlord you first encounter. I looked at his computer and checked out two of his emails, and they stated two things. He's a veteran of the war and his prosthetics are no longer covered by insurance. He then catch you in the act of fiddling around with his shit and start talking to you. When he mentioned being a veteran of the war, your character still gets surprised despite the fact that you already know all this from tampering with his computer. You're given dialogue options depending on the situation, but none of them were choices where one answer had more importance than the other. You simply go through all of them at an order of your choosing and extract the information that you need. Sadly, whenever I felt like choosing my own path in the dialogue tree, it broke the flow of narration as the tone or mood completely varied in between each dialogue option. The dialogue wasn't written in a way where the answers makes any sense later on in the dialogue tree, and I think that's a real pity considering how focused the game is on story and voice acting. The graphics do look amazing and the environments are interesting to look at. There wasn't a single loading screen after getting into the game, and considering how many places the game sent me to at the blink of an eye, I'm impressed with the technical aspects of the game. I ran the game at highest settings possible and I didn't crash once or experience any FPS drops as some people has reported, but I'm using a GTX 1080 PC Master Race. Yay. Okay, what the hell did I just play? I mean honestly, I have no idea how a game could deliver so much story and information, only to leave me clueless of what I just witnessed and experienced. Sure, I have a general idea, but not a definite understanding of the metaphors that they try to convey. I'm sure it's a game where you have to invest a second playthrough to actually get a decent understanding of what's happening around you, very much reminiscent of a terrible paranormal movie. The game claims to be a survival horror, but I'm convinced the word survival is thrown in there just because you're able to die. There's really no other survival element in there, and they also claim that hacking is a part of gameplay when it's not. It's a feature available to the current world you're set in, but not something you'll actively do besides pressing a button. Though it's very much over the top in the sense of atmosphere and horror. I have a very hard time getting scared by jump scares and horror movies in general, thus making games like this sort of irrelevant to me personally. I want to give it credit where credit is due though. It's the first game that so far has managed to give me chills down my spine for some unexplainable reason, but only managed to do so once for a split second, leaving me like, oh hell no! That split second was enough for me to keep going, even when the game started feeling like a stitched up project by developers who took way too much LSD one day. So, did I ultimately enjoy my time? Meh. Don't get me wrong, from an artistic perspective, the game hit all the high notes, but from a gameplay perspective, it just wasn't very fun to me. But honestly, if you're a person heavily motivated by story, graphical fidelity, and gore, it might just be the game for you to check out, but at a cost lower than its current odd price of 28 euros. That's all for now, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch my videos. If you like what I do, drop a like and a comment. If you're in need of a hug, subscribe and I got you covered. As a slide, by the way, if you made it this far, check out Token Geek here on YouTube if you're into retro games and reviews. He works really hard at what he does and I like watching him grow and improve. Nobody asked me to say any of this, I just like spreading all the love I can. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested. For now, bye.